Hello and welcome to United for Good. I'm Margaret O'Neill with the United Way of Central West Virginia. So glad to have you passing by and joining us on our show today. We've got a fabulous guest that I'm going to introduce to you in just 1 minute. First, we always want to say thank you to the West Virginia Library Commission and the Library Television Network for allowing us to be part of their programming. If you've never seen United for Good before, just a little reminder that the United Way of Central West Virginia serves 6 counties here locally: Kanawha, Putnam, Boone, Logan, Clay, and Braxton. And by serve, we kind of do that 2 ways. We work with funded partners through other nonprofits in those 6 counties. You're going to hear from one of those as an example today. And then we also do direct service out of our United Way office, things like our Equal Footing Shoe Fund, where we work directly with teachers and counselors in the school system to provide new shoes for our kids. Things like West Virginia 211, which we always want to remind you about if you're in need of assistance for anything non-emergent. So you have a challenge with a bill, you need to know where the health department is, it's vaccine season, where can I get a vaccine for flu or COVID? All those questions that you may not know who to call or where to ask, please call 211 for wherever you are in West Virginia, and you'll be served with some live call specialists to give you that information. And last but not least, it is campaign season for your local United Way. So you may see us in your place of business doing our workplace campaign. You may receive something in the mail, and what it's going to say is just say yes. Our campaign theme this year is Why Say Yes to the United Way. We think there are literally thousands of reasons. Last year, that number was about 76,000 lives touched by United Way dollars in those funded programs we mentioned. So we think it's a super good investment in your community. And if you have any questions about how to participate in our campaign, never hesitate to reach out to us through our website, through Facebook, or just give us a call at the office, and we're always happy to talk to you about how you can participate as a donor, as a volunteer, or just to learn a little bit more about what we do. So that said, let me welcome today to United for Good Erica Manny with the United Way. Would you like to be with the United Way?
We are,
right?
So
we are
perfect.
Together. Erica's actually with the American Red Cross, and I feel united because we've been doing this work together for a while now, not to date ourselves, but from the United Way of Southern West Virginia to here in Charleston, you've been at the head of the Red Cross, and we're so grateful. First of all, let me say thank you to you and your team. We see you in action all the time, be it local fires where we can do what we can to help and support your work, or most recently to flooding in eastern Kanawha County and other parts of West Virginia where, I think I'm going to be the first one there, and without fail, the Red Cross has been there and gone, or been there and done, and we're always just there to support your work. So thank you to you and your team for the great work that you do.
Well, Margaret, that's right back at you, because at the Red Cross, we know we can't do anything that we are able to do for our community, for the people who need us during those floods, fires, other disasters, if we don't have partners, and partners not only in the work that we're doing out there on the ground, but of course funding partners like the United Way. So thank you very much, and we're really excited to be a part of your show today.
Well, I always like people to know a little bit, so I say this a lot. We do have, in my humble opinion, in 20 plus years in nonprofit work in West Virginia, I think the Kanawha Valley is just so extremely blessed with the work that happens here, the nonprofits that are here, and the leadership that we have. But I want people to know a little bit about you. I know you because you're kind of my neighbor, but tell our viewers a little bit about Erica and your family, and you have 2 wonderful children, and my favorite, the puppy. So.
That's right, my fur baby too. So I am the regional executive for the American Red Cross, and as you mentioned, we go back to a couple United Ways, in southern West Virginia initially, where we met, because I've been doing this work now for about 11 years, and time flies, when you really enjoy what you're doing. So.
And your service has expanded, your coverage area has expanded in those 11 years. I don't know that people understand that you really head up a pretty large geographical area for the Red Cross.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning it. So we have 5 chapters within our central Appalachia region, and that region is made up of all of the counties in West Virginia, plus surrounding counties in Ohio, Kentucky, Maryland, and Virginia. And I get double duty, and I'm the executive director of the Central and Southern West Virginia Chapter 2, in addition to the broader region. So, what we do is, and you know it well, we have 5 lines of service, And blood is probably the one that people think about first when they hear Red Cross, unless, of course, they've had a disaster of any kind, and then they think of us in our disaster work. We also train individuals in the communities for CPR, first aid, and other health training related work. And we want to make sure that there are always people ready if something happens, no matter where you are, you know, at the grocery store, at a football game, whatever it may be. And then, of course, we were founded on the battlefield with Clara Barton. So we do have our Service to the Armed Forces programs where we help service members, veterans, and their families, and international services as well. So those are the 5 lines of service, and we're active in all of those. And our partnership at United Way focuses largely on the disaster side of the house, but you all jump in and help us everywhere you can, always. So thank you for that. And I think there's so much to talk about as we look at, you know, Red Cross responding to 60,000 plus disasters a year across the country. And of course, that number is shocking to people. But when you add in the very local disaster for potentially even a single family, which is the home fire, right? That is the most common disaster that we respond to. And you know well that right here in our own backyard, we respond to over 1,000 calls a year. The majority of those are disaster. And what we do is, you know, we show up on the scene, whether that's a fire or flood. And if it's a large group of people, we open a shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the most fun. And so I don't want to lose track of the family part because, you know, I said, can we talk about deployment before, you know, we got on the air, and, you know, because that's a really tough position for you to be in. And so I know on your birthday, you were in Hawaii, and you know, I saw your husband, and so you have a wonderful husband, John, and I was like, what's up? And he was like, oh my gosh, Erica's in Hawaii. And, you know, we just saw that as, you know, one of the worst disasters that we've seen in our country in a long time. But, you know, we have you here in Charleston while you're doing that service across several states, but you also get asked to leave your family and go serve other areas. And I think, you know, it brings tears to my eyes, but I thank you for what you do, and I know that it is a burden for you and your family.
It is, and I thank you for asking about the family. You know, John and the kids, I've got a middle school daughter and a high school son, and of course, you mentioned Iggy, our baby dog. And, you know, with all of that, they are so supportive because, as you mentioned, not only are we doing disaster response right here in our own backyards, but the beauty of the Red Cross is when there is a major disaster, you have a Red Cross everywhere in the country. But, you know, we need to bring the power of a lot of people on these disasters. People will recall the West Virginia floods years ago.
Right.
We had 856 people that, you know, worked from around the country to help us in that response and recovery work. So the same type of thing happened with Maui and Lahaina. That wildfire was just so devastating to actually go and see what happened there, and you know, just feel everything you feel when you see that kind of destruction and the loss that everybody sustained, not only of their worldly goods, but, you know, of family members and friends. And it was a small town in Lahaina, 13,000 people.
Like us, we'd know everybody,
you'd
right?
know everybody. It was just a traumatic experience over there, and the great news is that, you know, organizations are there to help, and the Red Cross was, you know, among the very first on the ground doing that, opening those large shelters we talked about. And now we're going to be there for, you know, the better part of a year with, my goodness, you know, 7,500 people in about 32 different settings, largely in hotel settings, where they're going to need everything from laundry service to food to...
Yeah, people just don't realize when you've lost everything, right?
Getting their kids to school. You know, we're working with all the local partners there, making sure that all of those families and individuals have exactly what they need during a time where they don't have a home.
So if there's comfort to everybody, it works the same no matter where you are. So as I was watching the news, and they put up where you can donate money to support people in Hawaii, it was the Red Cross, the United Way of what that local Hawaii was, and a religious organization, right? So it's the same partners. Our names may be different, but the organizations are the same. And the partnership, you know, that's what we call this show, is our community partners. And be it here or there, you guys are a huge part of that. And just thank you for what you do there. I know that's just really tough times.
Well, it's an honor to do the work and feel like when someone's having potentially their darkest day.
Right.
You know, that the Red Cross can bring a little light to that, give them some, you know, support in a lot of different ways, whether that's health, mental health, disaster related, whether that's money, because we are, you know, every disaster we respond to, we're giving financial assistance. And that, you know, that goes for those local fires too. I dare say, you know, sometimes I say it's the best kept secret that if someone has a home fire, you can turn to the Red Cross. And there are still so many people who say, really? I didn't know.
And so that's, you know, the marriage of 211 is that, you know, we get calls to 211 and people will say, I just had a fire last night. And our first question is, have you been in contact with the Red Cross? That's your step one. And then as you all case manage, the rest of us can get involved and pick up, you know, where we can. But that is largely what our United Way funds the Red Cross for, is local fire disasters. And, you know, people say that to me a lot. What do you do for them? How do you help them? And, you know, it is what you and I've talked about. We'd be doing it if you weren't doing it. So we're very grateful to be able to give, you know, the funding to the experts, and that you guys are on the ground and know how to case manage and know how to make that money go the absolute farthest that it can. And that's what we appreciate about your work so much.
Well, and the 211 number is such an important piece of that, because as you mentioned, a lot of organizations want to be there to help, and people might not know what they all do, first and foremost. But then secondly, we want to make sure that all of our donor dollars as nonprofit organizations go as far as they can, that we're not duplicating efforts, that we're making sure that whatever financial assistance we may be giving to those survivors of fires, floods, that they can then turn to those other nonprofits and make those dollars go even further, and know what all of those different organizations do. 211 is just, you know, such a blessing for all of us.
We are grateful that it's there, but you know, it's just, people need to know that we talk, right? So that duplication doesn't happen. Like, I can call you and say, did this fire really happen, before, you know, we work with these folks? And then in addition to that, absolutely, this fire really happened. Margaret, can you do this extra stuff? And so that communication really matters. We have a lot to talk about, and I don't want to miss out on, but I think this is a great place to plug. Volunteers are what drives your organization, many other nonprofits, ours as well. So it's not hard to be a Red Cross volunteer. It's super easy, and you should tell them how they can do that.
Thank you for that opportunity. We are, you know, 90+% volunteers to get the work done. Because when you look at all of these counties that we cover, whether it's locally or across the country, you can't do it with a small staff, because
and not to interrupt, but if a fire happens at 2 in the morning, I happen to know you have volunteers who show up there, right? So it's not just the day job, that there's that volunteer piece happens no matter when your personal disaster happens.
Yep, it's 24/7, because, you know, disasters don't schedule themselves. And so with that, you know, volunteers are, pun unintended, but the lifeblood of the American Red Cross. And with that, we are constantly asking people to consider getting trained and, you know, coming out and being a part of that disaster action team. And so you would, you know, come out and be with somebody who knows how to do it, so there's no fear, right? And we're going to make sure that people are trained. And the way you get to that is to either call us. You can call our local number, or 1-800-RED-CROSS, or go online to redcross.org, and there is a little button to click that you're interested in volunteering.
So easy. So easy.
Yes, yes. And then you get training, and, you know, it's a good amount of training, so that you feel comfortable when you're going out there and you are indeed, you know, that person's hope, as they're looking at you and saying, please help me.
My most recent experience with one of your wonderful volunteers was in the recent flood a month or so ago in Eastern Kanawha County, and we went in. Small shelter was opened by your team for some folks that were displaced, and there was this gentleman at the door when I came in, and he was like, I'm a volunteer, I'm here from the Red Cross, how can I help you? These are the things that I can do. And it was so clear that he loved every minute of that. Like, he was thoroughly just appreciating the opportunity that he had to be of service that day, but well trained. I mean, he knew what to do, who to direct me to, you know, the whole thing. And so I would encourage anybody, like, if you're wondering, you've got that extra little bit of time, a week, a month, whatever. I know you, like us, you know, aren't picky. We can figure out where to put you if you have some time. But super easy to get involved, and it's important. And you're going to be really glad when that volunteer comes to your house if something happens, right?
Right. And so that's, such a great experience for our volunteers. They talk to us about, the feeling they get when they're able to help, when someone just isn't sure where to turn. I mean, even things like, my goodness, my credit cards, my money, my birth certificates, my everything have just burned up in here. Where do I even go to replace all of that, right? Medicine is such
Your
a common
glasses,
one.
we hear, right?
Yes, hearing aids, dentures,
Yes.
all of those things. The Red Cross helps make sure that either, you have the money for it, or you have the money for it and some expertise of our team to say, all right, here's where you can find resources and make sure that, these dollars go as far as they can.
Yeah, not only like, God forbid, you hope it never happens to you, but if it does, the stress and trauma and shock that you're in is not the most conducive time to figure out how to get your license back, right? Or if your
Exactly.
checking account is open or closed so you can go get money. So
Absolutely.
bringing that expertise is really valuable to people.
Well, thank you. And, because the most common thing that we respond to is a home fire, we also go out all year long and provide free smoke alarms. We don't hand them out. We actually come in and
love that
install
part.
them, so we know
Because I'm not
they're
good at
working.
that. Like, and it
Right.
starts making that terrible noise, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to
Right.
do. And so this is the time of year for that. We were just talking about the time change, coming up in November. And so if you haven't changed the batteries in your smoke alarm, now's the time to do that. Or if you need one, they can just reach out to you. Is that true?
Yes, they can. We encourage people to reach out to 1-800-RED CROSS to get us, or their local fire department, because our fire departments
Oh my gosh.
in West Virginia have been absolutely outstanding about the fire, smoke alarm programs, whether it's ours or their own. We know that, we're all very committed to making sure people have those moments, that a smoke alarm provides, when moments is all you have to get out of a
Exactly.
home when it's burning. So, we've got Fire Prevention Week in October.
Coming up.
We've got the time change coming up this fall, and that is definitely the time at Red Cross that we're reminding people, check your smoke alarms. Some of them need batteries, some of them are those 10-year lithium ion, you don't have to change batteries, but test them anyway, and we would love to see people test them every month. But during the time change, fall back and spring forward, it's such an easy time to remember, also check that smoke alarm. So with all of that, there's, just so much focus on making sure we also prevent and prepare people for disasters.
Because isn't it true that many of the fires that are the most disastrous occurred in homes without a smoke alarm, when people didn't know to get out?
When we hear of tragedy in home fires, we are, very interested in whether they had a smoke alarm and whether, that could have saved lives. With that said, it's one of those things, if you don't have a smoke alarm, please,
Yeah, so it
please
doesn't
let us
matter. That's
know.
our plug for it. Doesn't matter, old, young, can't afford it, don't know how to put it in, the batteries won't work, whatever it is, reach out to the Red Cross, and between them and our local fire departments are going to hook you up and make it safe.
And it's no cost to you.
No cost to you. So that is the beauty of that. And so then the other thing we were talking about, your beautiful red jacket, but red for the Red Cross and red for blood, and it is part of your work. It's a part that people don't always realize comes from leadership down. I love to give blood. It's one of my favorite things to do that I feel like can make a difference in somebody's life. Super easy to do. But this is a time, as we approach the holiday season and blood becomes harder and harder to put your hands on, and people maybe get out a little less because the weather gets bad. Now's the time. Still sunny outside. We've got some beautiful days ahead. Schedule an appointment to go give blood, right?
Absolutely. In this world, how many things do you come across that you can't make or manufacture if you need it? Well, blood is one of those
That's
things
right.
you cannot make or manufacture. So with that, we really do rely upon the kindness of people and their humanitarian spirit to roll up a sleeve and give that blood. And we usually collect over, an average over the years, every year, 50 to 60,000 units of blood right here in our area. So,
And is that enough, Erica?
it's
Does
not.
that keep?
It's not. No, but with that, we're always asking people to consider, because, only 30-some% of the population is eligible to give, but then 3% give. And that's shocking, right? I mean, so we need to
Yeah.
inspire people. And one of the things I like to tell people is go on our, Red Cross blood website and look at some of the stories that are out there. The minute you hear
Amazing.
the families, the kids who have received blood, all of the people who care about them being so grateful, you're inspired to give. So if you're a little nervous about it, we want you to know, go be inspired, look online. Also, make an appointment. We want to make it really easy. You can go to our website, redcrossblood.org, and put in your zip code. You'll see multiple options in locations and times that may be most convenient for you. So we hope that that can help. And of course, September was Sickle Cell Awareness Month.
That's right.
And so, we are really asking everybody to think about all the ways blood is utilized, right? You mentioned travel, and even at the holidays, a lot more travel. We see that accidents on the roads require a lot of blood. People who are starting their families, women having babies,
That's right.
they often need blood. And
My grandbaby's mama had that lots
Yes.
of blood when she was delivering. So
Yeah.
people don't always think about that, and you don't want to be the one when there's a struggle to get when it's you again, right? So don't wait until you need the blood. Just do it for somebody else. And so if you're having a birthday, just say to your friend, instead of buying me a present, let's go give blood together. Or on your anniversary, say to your partner, let's just go give blood together. And that would be a great gift. And together you might save somebody's life. And that'd be a super cool gift to give to somebody, right?
It really is. We have a board chair who actually, when she has, a deal close at work, she says, I grab the team from work, and one of the ways we celebrate is going to give blood. So
Cool.
love that. And what a great way to not only celebrate a milestone, but also know that every time you give blood, you're actually potentially saving multiple lives.
Right, because
Yes.
that doesn't necessarily, all the product might not go to just one person.
That's right.
And almost always guaranteed a cookie. That's my favorite. That's my favorite part. There's going to be a snack on the back end of that, and you're going
That's
to
right.
get, and then you really do get some hand holding. I mean, again, you have a team who, they know what, this is not their first rodeo, and they know how to handle it. If you feel a little queasy, or if you think, just don't look at the needle or whatever, they're very distracting, and they do a very professional job of making sure that you're comfortable while you're there to give blood.
They do, and really the whole process of being at the drive is usually about an hour, and only 15 minutes of it is the giving of blood. So it really is quick. And easy to do, and I know everybody is quite busy, so I say it's easy to do, but it's sometimes hard for people to squeeze it in. But at this time of year, and right now, we are in an appeal asking people to help us avoid further blood shortage. So thanks for letting me kind of put that plea out there today that we need blood, every type, and we would love for people to get online or call us and make that appointment.
And we've talked about a lot of things. And so there's a lot of ways that you can take advantage of our local Red Cross. You can find ways to volunteer. You can find a way to get a smoke alarm. You can give blood. You can support them financially through their disaster services. Go online and see the many different things that they do. We talked about Claire Barton briefly, but that veteran piece is really super important. We're going to, as we get ready to wrap it up, but I saw a video of the Ukraine experience and some of the things that are happening. It is, veterans aren't supported the way they should be, in my personal opinion, across our country. But I'm so grateful to you all, and I can still remember, the first time somebody had a illness and somebody was overseas, and it's like, how do you get a hold of them? And the person said, well, you got to call the Red Cross. That's who notifies them. And that still happens today, right? You guys are still the people who do that.
That's right. So the Department of Defense relies upon the Red Cross to make sure that if, a life-changing event has happened when someone is deployed, that they are alerted to it, and that there is a formal process that we are right in the middle of at the Red Cross, making sure that when people need to get home for the birth of a baby or the death of a loved one, we make sure that we can give them the information and help them get home to be with their family when these big events happen. Additionally, we're doing things locally like resiliency workshops and
That's right.
coping
Yep.
with deployments, and we are always, ready to help our veterans, service members, and their families. And that is, as you mentioned, what the Red Cross was founded on.
Yeah.
Clara Barton, the angel of the battlefield in the Civil
Exactly.
War, and taking care of our folks who are doing so much for our country by serving is critical at the Red Cross.
Well, again, thanks to you, Erica Manny with the Red Cross, and your whole team from, Angela Akers, the one I run into when I'm not running into you, but, your disaster team trained us to open shelters. You've supported a lot of different work, and, we're just grateful for your partnership, and we're grateful to have you and your team on the ground in West Virginia and across the country as needed, but stay home and stay safe.
Well, thank you, and thanks for all your partnership.
Well, I promised you a good guest, and I wasn't lying. Today was the day. And as we start to wrap up, I do want to mention just a couple of other things. This is, it sounds weird, I know. So Erica wore red for the Red Cross. I wore yellow because the Great Rubber Duck Race isn't until July of 2024. However, ducks are on sale right now. And so as we approach holiday season, our theme this year is double your luck, double your ducks. And so if you bought 5 ducks last year, you should buy 10 this year. Our goal is to dump 10,000 ducks off the Southside Bridge as part of the regatta in July. But we need your help, and we need it now, even though it seems like a long time away. Get online. So Erica talked about her website. Go to unitedwaycwv.org. You can buy ducks there. It makes a great gift, a great stocking stuffer. It is for you, the Great Rubber Duck Race. As always, we are so grateful to our partners. The Red Cross is one of over 30 that our United Way will be funding in the 2024 season, as well as what we are currently funding in 2023. If you'd like to know more about who those nonprofit partners are, where you can find them, or the work that they do, again, you can find all of that on our website. Erica, any last thoughts before we wrap it up? I've talked a lot. I want you to make sure you got it all in.
Well, thank you. I would say if anyone out there is interested in getting involved, whether it's the United Way, the Red Cross, or any of our local nonprofits, we are always in need of our volunteers and donors. So we like to say there's something for everyone to contribute.
Right. We just come off a great day of caring. So, 1,000 volunteers out a couple of weeks ago doing some great work around the valley. So, as always, our thanks to the Library Television Commission and the network for allowing us to be part of their show. If you need anything, reach out to us at the United Way of Central West Virginia. We're here to serve. Don't forget to call 211 if you have a need that you need assistance with 24/7. They're there to help you. And until we see you again, I'm Margaret O'Neill with the United Way of Central West Virginia.